Unfortunately, The Running Man, I have to say, it pains me to say, is one of the bigger disappointments of 2025 so far. Not to say it doesn't bring some things to the table, but on the whole though, I just left this one cold, wanting to have a lot more fun than I did. If there's one big takeaway from The Running Man, I think it is that Glen Powell is 100% a Hollywood leading man. Not that he needed to prove it any further, I think he already has, but I think this movie further cements the fact that he can carry any sort of star vehicle, and he could do it with ease. Ben Richards is a far different character than I think audiences are used to Powell playing most of the time, which I love because he's a darker character, he's an angrier character, and I love seeing Powell get to tap into those facets of this man who is, his back is pushed up against the wall, he is pushed to the end of his limits and then some in order to try to not only survive, but try to provide for his family and just see his family again. And seeing that desperation, seeing that anger come out that is bubbling beneath the surface for so long, it's amazing, and Powell just nails that here. But not only is Powell bringing that charm and that charisma, but he's bringing that emotional gravitas that I think that this character needs, especially in order to root for him as he is in this competition. You want to see him succeed, you want to see him survive, and that's due in large part to Powell's winning performance here. And there are some fun action sequences. This is a movie that definitely feels and looks like it has a considerable budget. There's a big scope here. I think the production design and the scope of this thing is really impressive. It's very immersive. The sound design is terrific, and there are some action sequences that definitely give you the bang for the buck that you're looking for, and it's a movie that definitely is relentlessly paced. I mean, you're dropped into the action almost immediately, and it really just doesn't let up most of the time. And this movie's filled with a lot of social commentary, folks. I mean, there's definitely a lot of that 99% versus the 1%. It deals with a lot of issues with the healthcare system and just the underprivileged versus the very privileged. I mean, that's all very apparent here, and it's definitely relevant, eerily relevant with the times that we're living in right now. And I understand why it wanted to tackle those issues, and I think, Stephen King's story did tackle those issues back when it was published from what I've read. But I do feel like the film doesn't really know whether it wants to focus on that social commentary or if it wants to play things more safe and just be a fun blockbuster film. And it just kind of creates this tonal dissonance that left me cold, frankly. And this is also a very big issue for me. It feels like Edgar Wright got lost in the shuffle here. I feel like this did not have his signature flair. A lot of the time, I forgot that this was a film that he directed because I just feel like his signature panache, his singular voice, it doesn't feel present here. It kind of feels like it got lost in the noise here, lost in this studio film. And that was a real bummer because there's, faint glimmers of his signature style that are sprinkled throughout this thing, but not enough to the point where a lot of it just feels, I don't know, just feels kind of underwhelming and even a little bit bland sometimes, which is a really depressing thing to say when I'm talking about an Edgar Wright film, one of my favorite filmmakers out there.